again. Welcome back to Mind Hijack. I'd like to thank the viewers for the last episode. It was a huge success. Many viewers on the issues of eating disorder. As I told you in the last time, I was going to talk about psychotherapy. You know, psychotherapy seems to be such a mystery, but the purpose of today is to guide you in the right direction, what psychotherapy is and how it can help you. There are many kinds of psychotherapies. People think that there's only one kind because you probably have no clue what you're walking into. In order to understand psychotherapy, you have to understand the dynamics and the mechanics of what it is. If you recall, one of the things that we do and our brain does, it tends to store memory. Memory of beautiful things, memory of wonderful experiences, memory of very important life events. However, in the human world as we exist, it is not a perfect one. Sometimes we experience certain losses when we're young, especially in the first 5 years. It appears that the first 5 years of your life are the most critical because your brain is processing a great deal of data. It's processing your relations with your mother and father, your losses of perhaps a mother and father. It's remembering the very best friends that you first started or something very traumatic. And the first 5 years is such a delicate thing because your brain is storing emotions, memory, experiences. However, sometimes all of that gets bundled up in a way that is very disconnected. It's interesting enough that most of our worst experiences seem to happen perhaps in the youngest years of our life. And it puts into storage in a place we call the subconscious mind. We tend to function, however, there reaches a point in that person that things begin off balance. An example, one day you're walking into a store and suddenly you feel like you're having a heart attack or the world is spinning. You think you have a medical illness. There are many reasons for that. It could be caused by psychiatric problems and medical problems, but that's an example. Or perhaps you have this incredible fear where you don't want to walk into a certain place and it interrupts your whole life. You don't know what to do. Or perhaps you're afraid to get in front of a big public place and you cannot improve on yourself to become a better student, a better employer. These are things that you cannot explain, but your subconscious mind is spilling out something. This is where psychotherapy may be very helpful. You may be taking medications, but medications, all they do is they take away the symptoms. They do not deal with the cause. The premise of psychotherapy is that you have a professional who becomes your mirror. And that mirror is looking at yourself to tell you what is wrong with you. A good therapist will open up your emotions and open up the subconscious. Now, there are many ways to do this, and there are many kinds of counseling and therapies. Did you know there's something called cognitive therapy for panic disorder? Supportive therapy often is very for grieving and people who have died. There's something called dialectical therapy for a particular personality disorder that we call borderline personality disorder. For the people who have the luxury to undergo psychoanalysis, and it's very expensive. It's a type of therapy that you go every day, 5 days a week, and slowly and very slowly, in your own pace, you self-disclose and you open up and you dig into your deepest part of your subconscious mind. And yet there's another therapy where certain phobias are so deeply hidden and certain events that you cannot understand that it requires a focused state of mind that we call hypnosis. Did you know that hypnosis was another kind of therapy? So the question is, does it work? Yes, it does. If you combine medication with therapy, your progress will become double. But the key to this is selecting the right person. And this is where I'm going to hijack your mind and selecting. You know, just because you're a therapist doesn't mean you know what you're doing. I mean, if it's coffee, tea, or me, you can do this in a restaurant with somebody, one of your friends, you know? I mean, just going to a restaurant and somebody being a good listener, it's therapy. Because what a good listener, one of the requirements of being a good therapist, you have to know how to listen. How to listen. Listening is the most powerful tool that a therapist has. Because when you listen, you are putting the story together. And in the process of putting the story together, you make the connections. And sometimes you answer your own question. That's what therapy is. But then there are roadblocks and there are stumbling things that you cannot overcome. And a good therapist will be able to pull you out and help you using metaphors. The power of metaphors is a tool that we use in therapy. You know, when we undergo suffering, we tend to hide these pains. Children hide their pain. They block. Have you ever heard, I don't remember part of my childhood, and you don't understand why. There are bits and pieces, because somewhere in your past, something must have happened at that particular moment that was so traumatic that memory got confused and it put it away in your subconscious mind. It may appear in the middle of the night, screaming and yelling, and you don't know where it's coming from. We already know what post-traumatic stress is. Watching something violent that your mind cannot handle. The brain is a very delicate organ in more ways than one. If you were to pick up a brain, it feels like Jell-O. That's what it looks like. If I was to take a human brain and put it in my hand, it would feel like an octopus or jelly that wants to leave. That's how delicate it is. That's why it is surrounded in this cranium to protect it. But it's not just physically tender, it only likes non-painful experiences. And in order to protect you from living, it tends to hide and block certain things. Some people who have not the unfortunate do not have the fortune of dealing with emotions, they block it so deeply that they have a tendency to do horrible things. You probably heard about the serial killers. That would be another topic in itself. How do serial killers operate without emotions? I'll give you a little clue. It's because they have no emotions and they have to see something intense and violent to feel. But as far as you're concerned, remember, a good therapist is a good listener, and a good therapist will show you your path and will give you what we call emotional catharsis. It doesn't happen in one session. People can be in counseling for 1 year, and the more the better. But just know that it does work and that you have many choices. Be careful how you select the people that you do counseling with. A good therapist doesn't ask things from you. There are certain boundaries that you need to understand. You know, sometimes we're so emotionally charged when we have a good therapeutic experience that the patient wants to give us gifts. We have to understand what the meanings of those gifts. We don't take gifts unless there is a therapeutic significance as to why these gifts. Often, therapy can go wrong. You become so attached to the therapist that the boundaries are lost, and this is something that we monitor. By boundaries means that you become so entangled with the therapist, and the therapist, if he's not well trained, will cross that boundary and a relationship will be formed. That is not a good thing. That is a violation of treatment. A good therapist should know how to distance himself and ask the person as to why this is important. You see, a good therapist and a good treatment will know how to deal with all these things. So the purpose of today's program is to show you that there are really options out there. It's not just one kind of therapy. It's not the couch. That is one kind. There is something we call Fritz Perl or Gestalt therapy that's very good for groups in terms of substance abuse programs. I hope this was very helpful. The whole concept of therapy and psychotherapy is much more complex to explain in 10 minutes. The purpose of this is to show you and open up the door so you can do your own research on the internet and you can make good choices. You know, make sure you select somebody that doesn't feel like your friend in a coffee shop. They can do that for free. I hope this helps you in understanding what psychotherapy is and how to select somebody to help you. I've always believed that these programs help people in a little bit at a time, because Google is such a big, big world out there that it's hard for you to know where to go. I hope I gave you the main points to guide you in the right direction. And that's the purpose of this program and Mind Hijack. Thank you.